It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Fittingly, it's about 7 degrees outside. But hey, don't worry. It feels like 0. That's what it says on my phone. Not that I needed to look down at my phone to realize my ass is freezing right now, but that's okay. It's January, and I'd be a little disappointed if that weren't the case. Good morning. It's Tuesday. We've got a lot of things going on around here today. Tuesday is always unfun around here, so we do have some unfun facts a little later in the show. Somebody in the metro area won $1 million. We need to track that down, and of course, there's always time for some stories about butt smuggling. But right now, far more important to get right to the top order of business. That's your top 5 at 6. Let's roll, shall we? This story in from Australia. Whew, baby. There is a house in a suburb of Sydney, Australia, that happens to be the home where the Young brothers grew up. Angus and Malcolm Young of AC/DC. Their family moved from the United Kingdom down to Australia when Angus was 8 years old. They moved into a home, and it's a semi-detached property, meaning it's not a standalone home. It's semi-detached. It's a bunch of houses right on top of each other, basically. Some developers purchased this property about a year ago for like $6 million. It was a whole series of semi-detached homes in an area. This home listed on the National Trust of Historic Homes for the last 12 years. It's a huge tourist attraction for fans. People in the area are like, wait a minute. Well, I can go see the house where Angus and Malcolm grew up. All right, let's go, mate. And they go, and they stand there, and they look kind of silly, but then they feel good, and then they tell their friends all over the world, this is where Angus and Malcolm grew up. Okay, I get it.
Hope they have slides.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get pictures. Well, developers announced yesterday, we accidentally destroyed the house.
What?
We accidentally bulldozed the home where the Young brothers grew up. These are by far the biggest rock stars ever out of Australia. AC/DC's legacy is I mean, just imagine if the biggest rock band on earth came out of St. Paul. Like, everybody would really care, okay? There's not that many people in Australia. The whole country rallies around etiquette, as they call it, and now people are freaking out because, again, the home was destroyed accidentally. Somebody just forgot to double check and make sure that they weren't knocking that down with a bulldozer.
And they have a sign out front or something?
You would think. Now, just imagine the guy who actually was behind the wheel of that bulldozer. He's just a working stiff.
Yeah, he's
just
drunk.
A guy
He doesn't care.
Yeah, of course he's Australian, so he is drunk. That's kind of that's a synonym.
That's probably why he knocked it down.
Look, he just went to work. It was all he knew was it was Thursday, and he was given a piece of paper, and he took it from there. Boy, that's a rough one. I mean, you got to make sure before you knock down a house that the biggest rock stars ever from that area didn't grow up there. That's the lesson of the day, I suppose.
A dirty deed done dirt cheap.
That's exactly right, Brian Zepp. I hope by the time AC/DC rolls into the U.S. Bank Stadium that Angus has gotten past this. But surely something tells me he's just like, which house? I hated that house. It was miserable there.
Whatever. We're just going to give him Prince's house when he's here.
That's it. You know what? That's a good. That'd be great.
I'm sure he'll be fine.
Oh, you mean the original Prince house? That one still
the
standing?
Rain house.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
have you been to it?
Airbnb.
Yeah, it's a big Airbnb now. We can go stay there.
All right. Sure, let me know how it looks.
Let's do the show from there. Let's all move in together. Let's do a reality show. The KQ Morning Show at the original House of Prince.
I was kind of hoping for Riders Digs down in Lakeville, that old shack. Was that a split level?
Yeah, it was a split level, in fact. How'd you guess?
Because it was in Lakeville. I'm looking at the era about the time you were born. Yeah, it was all split level. My kids were raised in split levels in Scott County. I know how it goes.
You drive by and you just hear it's just like in the air, that song. Speaking of childhood homes, here's your number 4 story on your top 5 at 6. In Illinois, a little closer to home, an Illinois guy named Tim King has a construction service. They rehab and remodel and build homes. And his parents still live in his childhood home, and he was redoing one of their bathrooms. And he posts a lot of videos on Instagram to show the work he's doing, as a lot of people do. And then tucked behind some drywall, he was closing up he's opening up walls and looking in there, and suddenly he comes across what looks like an old Christmas gift. He's like, wait a minute, what is that? It's in his parents' the wall of his parents' bathroom, as I said. there was an addition that had been built at some point, and a little bit of a wall had fallen, and there was a little nook in the wall that his parents would put things in to hide them from the kids, including Christmas presents. He opened up the wall, and apparently one year for Christmas, they had dropped a bunch of gifts in there and forgot how many there were and left one since 1978, as it turns out. So he uncovers a still wrapped box with his name on it. Merry Christmas, Tim. And he's like, okay, this was for me in 1978. Opens it up, and he has the video, and it's a toy. You know, it's like a present. He was a little kid. He was 6 years old, and it's a box set of Matchbox Thunder Jets.
That sounds cool.
Obviously unopened, brand new, under the wrapping paper. Sounds cool as hell. I'm sure his first thought was, why couldn't it have been Pokemon cards? Or why couldn't it have been something that's worth a nickel to anybody else? But
it's unopened, from 1978. Yeah. What's the value? But yeah, probably not. I don't remember the Thunder Jets.
The Matchbox Thunder Jets did not quite take off. Now, if it was an original, like late 60s Hot Wheels set, there'd be a bidder for that. Make no mistake about it. I'm just thinking 1978. Let's see, I would have been 13 at that time. Under the tree for me was just like records. That's all I ever asked for. Just like some records, please.
Yeah.
But Thunder Jets, I mean, it's kind of nice. Of course, you call your parents and you're like, literally, you had so many presents you lost track?
This happened. We only had 3 freaking kids in the house, and both my brother and I one year got the BB guns. Not the Red Ryder, much better than the Red Ryder, but we got BB guns.
Okay.
And I remember it was about lunch time. That time, Mom was getting dinner ready. There was wrapping paper that was being stuffed in garbage bags, and we were all just sitting around. And Dad goes, "They're going to take those BB guns out and shoot them?" And we said, "What? The BB guns?" Huh? And Mom said, "Oh my gosh, Skip. Are they still under the bed?" And he's like, "Oh, we forgot to." I'm like, and I was sitting there thinking, a little lean this year, but if you grew up on a farm in the 1970s, early 80s in South Dakota, things were a little lean some years.
They were, sure.
And did get a lot of rain that year. But so then all of a sudden the big present came out at noon, and it was like Christmas morning all over again. But I do think back on that and go, how the hell did you forget the booby prize, the big gift, man?
No kidding.
And that's what happened with this. Mom and Dad didn't know that he didn't open the Thunder Jets. He was probably, all these years he thought they didn't really love him or that Santa sucked.
Sadly, those BB guns woven from barley. Hey, number three in your top 5 at 6, and this is important. And I've been concerned for my fellow Americans over the years for various reasons, but never anything like this, because a new survey says that nearly half of all Americans carry with them wherever they go backup underwear.
Really?
Okay,
what?
when I leave home, there's 3 things I need: keys, wallet, phone.
Yep, that's what I do.
Before I even put on my shoes, I'm like making sure I need those 3 things, because without my keys, without my wallet, without my phone, something will go wrong. And if I forget my shoes, I'll just get some more. Or maybe, I'll just go barefoot. Backup underwear, don't remember ever leaving the house, ever, for any reason, and thinking, hang on, let me grab some more drawers.
No, unless someone left some in the glove box or something like that. It was a fun night the night before. I wish. I don't want to hear Americans griping about the economy anymore. You have spare underwear?
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow.
I mean, let's talk about the economy, ecology, the political landscape. Let's talk about how the college playoff has kind of been boring. Backup underwear? What the hell is happening to us?
Could you imagine just stepping out the door every day thinking, something bad's going to, I better get some spare underwear.
Would you just live a life where people constantly jump out from behind things and go, boo? Who's crapping themselves that often? Number two on your top 5 at 6. Hey, North Dakota State, take it easy over there. North Dakota State, another national championship. This is the Division I football championship subdivision, FCS level. Boy, I tell you what, the only thing, North Dakota State, 10th national champion since 2011. Yeah. And sadly, for For the Montana State boys, that's who they beat. This is the fourth time they've beaten Montana State in the playoffs since 2018. If you're a player for Montana State, you feel really good until North Dakota State shows up. North Dakota State, a team with 39 Minnesotans on their roster, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, that's the North Dakota schools, the South Dakota schools. If they do well, if they're dominant, it's because a bunch of kids came across the border. I grew up in East River, South Dakota, and every once in a while, for football, basketball, something like that, we'd slip across the border, or someone from Marshall or Pipestone or whatever would come over to South Dakota and play, and it was always the same thing. We got our asses handed to us. Just, I don't know, corn-fed, wheat-fed. Go with the corn-fed kids over in Minnesota. But yeah, that's any hockey teams that you might ever see west of Minnesota, look at the roster where the kids are from. 99% of the roster is Minnesota. They breed some athletes.
It's pretty crazy how a state line can really make such a difference. I grew up on the Kentucky-Tennessee border, right on the state line. The Kentucky teams would wipe the floor in basketball with the Tennessee teams, and then in football, the exact opposite. And it's like 7 miles away. But it's just priorities. You know, if you're from Tennessee, you're like going to play football, and if you're from Kentucky, you're going to play basketball. And if you're from either, you're just a redneck. So anyway, all right, let's moving on. Before we get to the number one, just want to say, hey, Lino Lakes, what's happening up there? Lino Lakes, you're probably a degree cooler than we are, so that's how cool you are.
Very cool. What's the name of that golf course? I like that Chamonix. It's something French. I always feel fancy when I'm there. Because I walked in and I went, I love this Chamonix, huh? It's like, no, you don't. It's not Chamonix. Chamonix. Good golf course.
Chamonix, I believe that's that's a French Alps ski destination, is it not? Like
big one.
The old Olympics. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Big time.
For those of us who ski, not meaning me, of course. Number one on your top 5 at 6. The CES is kicked off in Vegas, or it will today, the Consumer Electronics Show. This is basically Gadget Nerd Central. Every year in Vegas, people bring out this new stuff they have. Just a quick looking over the list. This is what jumped off to me. There's a new Roomba, basically, like a robot vacuum, except that it has an arm on top, and its job is to drive around, not vacuum the floor, but just pick stuff up off the floor. As in, like, go pick up that sock for me, and you roll your Roomba over, and it very slowly picks up a sock off the floor. And then what? Then you bend over just a little less to pick it up and put it in the hamper.
I'd need one the size of a wheelbarrow to pick up my floors. And let's not send it into the teenage boys' room. Yeah. You know, I'm just saying, when it picks up a sock, it might stick a little.
About $1,000 for that, in case. And if your back hurts that much, go for it. They also have electric rollerblades. Electric rollerblades. You wear the battery around your waist like a belt, and then you control the speed with a remote. Top speed 18 miles per hour. You just put them on, and the wheels start to go, and you don't have to do all that, actual rollerblading yourself.
I like it says here, break a hip without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, no shit.
All of this stuff on here, you guys, is just, let's crawl into the Matrix pods and just get comfortable in the goo. We don't want to move anymore. A table with working legs, the Mimo, it walks around. Why walk over to the table and get something when your table can walk it over to you? What in the hell?
Most of the things on my side table, they're going to fall if you just barely scrub. If you walk by and bump the table, something hits the floor. I don't want a walking table.
No, exactly. And by the way, when your table walks over to you, Steve, you don't have to pick up the salt shaker and salt your food. They have the electric salt spoon. I heard about this years ago. But when you take a bite of something with this spoon, it gives your tongue a little electric shock and makes stuff taste saltier than it really is. So you get that salty taste without the salt. The beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Coming to a Amazon delivery near you.
You can also buy something this year called the Foo-Foo. It's a tiny robot that blows on your drink to cool it down.
That's it.
My response is it is spelled F-U. So, that's all I can really give you there. There's your top 5 at 6. Acronyms are a big part of our language. It's important to know what you're talking about and to get them right. You don't want to confuse, say, the FBI with the IRS. I mean, very different organizations. You definitely don't want to confuse DD with DUI. I'll explain. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Good Tuesday morning. We got unfun facts coming up a little later towards the end of this hour. But first and foremost right now, really important to know what you're talking about in life, especially when you're talking to a cop. Listen, New Year's Eve, a lot of people get out and have a good time. And there's a lot of people who want to make sure that their friends have a good time. So what they do is they say, you know what, I'll drive. I'm going to be the DD. I'm going to be the designated driver. That's I've heard that over the last few years for the first time. Like, hey, man, you got a DD? You got a DD? And at first I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I like it. I'm the designated driver. I got you. I'm good. You guys go have fun. In California, New Year's Eve, about 12:40 a.m., a swerving driver was pulled over. The police officer approached him, and thankfully, the conversation was recorded so you could hear this DD, designated driver, doing his job.
Today you're being stopped for a DUI investigation. Do you have your license on you?
I do.
Okay. Where are you coming from?
I was just dropping off my friend because I'm the DUI tonight, and I was dropping her off near the In-N-Out off of
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm heading my way back off of,
You're the DUI tonight? Do you mean to say the DD?
No. I'm sorry. I had a beer and some champagne a couple hours ago, but...
So I gotta place you under arrest, okay?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. First of all, you are the DUI tonight. That's very good. I'm sorry. I'm dropping my friend off. I'm the DUI tonight. By the way, again, this was at 12:40 a.m. and he says he had some champagne a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
I just wanted to celebrate the new year at 10:40 p.m.
Well, you know.
I'm the
guess.
DUI tonight, and I was dropping her off near the In-N-Out off of Temecula.
Okay.
And I'm heading my way back off of,
You're the DUI tonight? Do you mean to say the DD?
Well, I mean, come on, a couple of letters.
When you're dropping off your friend on New Year's night, now it's New Year's Day, early hours. I'm dropping her off near the In-N-Out on Temecula. I hope there's actually that. You mean at a residence? Because it sounds like he's just kicking her out of the street right near an In-N-Out. Here, I dropped her off on the corner by the In-N-Out near Temecula. It doesn't sound too positive to me.
I don't know. You could drop me there, but it would have been nice if she would have invited him in, say, to stay for the night. You know, no monkey business. Take the couch. But
sure.
Either way, the kid was getting a DUI. Wasn't like the cop was like, wait a minute, did he say DUI instead of DD? He might be drinking. They get you the moment they make eye contact.
Oh, yeah. Of course they do. The cop said, so your friend, do you have her phone number? And his response apparently was, no, not off my heart. Again, by the way, okay, he said DUI instead of DD. He's telling the truth. His subconscious won't let him get away with a lie. I'm the DUI tonight. Do you know her number? He didn't say not off the top of my head. He said, no, not off my heart, which tells me he's her designated driver because he's in love with her. He's in the friend zone. He's doing anything he can. This is just ripping the mask off. It's like, dude, you just got arrested for a DUI because the girl who has no time for you beyond the friend zone, you thought you'd be her DD. And because you're so obsessed with her and because you're so emotionally charged, you had to drink some champagne and beer and got yourself drunk. Now look at you.
Chicks.
It's like the old story about Richard Nixon. The woman he ended up marrying, Pat, he drove her to the senior prom. They weren't on a date. He was the chauffeur. She was already going with someone else. He had such a crush on her. He's like, well, I'll drive you. So this guy's clearly got a future in politics, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, probably. What a smuck, man.
Can you imagine? Like
Both
the girl
of them.
you're pining for is going to the prom with someone else, and your solution to the problem is to say, well, how about if I drive you guys?
So weird.
Well, I mean,
saying.
some guys dig the cuckold thing, you know? It's
I guess.
a thing, you know?
I don't know. I was always, every time I thought about looking into this whole Quaker thing, that's what turned me away from it. I figured there's got to be something a little sideways out there.
Is Nixon
All right.
a Quaker?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know.
I think
no
you
idea.
missed a few of those lessons, though. Hey, along the way, things have happened on January 7th that are worth noting. All right, on this day in 1980, the Philadelphia Flyers lost a game at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota to the... Hang on, I'm looking at my notes. The Minnesota North Stars. That's what they were called. They beat the Flyers 7-1. Not a big game for the North Stars. It didn't really have any impact on their season, but it was kind of important to the Flyers because that snapped their 35-game unbeaten streak. 35 games without a loss. Good God almighty.
Those Bobby Clark years, right?
Yeah. And, of course, they still lost to the Islanders in the finals. So take that, Philly, you bunch of animals. God, those are the angriest people on earth. 1994, on this day, the U.S. Females Figure Skating Championship was won by Tanya Harding. A day after her rival Nancy Kerrigan had been assaulted and damn near had her career ended by Tanya Harding.
She didn't know anything about that, Steve.
Proving beyond a measure of a doubt that Tanya Harding was a sociopath. My God, imagine that. You send your husband and his goons to go maim your opponent, and the next day you go out and win the championship.
Right.
Oh.
And she just... and I don't know who she was before that because I wasn't following ice skating. We don't follow ice skating, or we didn't back then for sure, until they went to the Olympics and they won a gold and they became America's little sweetheart. So I didn't know who she was. But casting Margot Robbie as her in that movie was very generous. I just thought that's wow.
That's one way to describe it.
Yeah.
Myopic.
Yeah.
Somebody was on mushrooms. There's a lot of ways you could describe that.
Yeah.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS. The KQ Morning Show presents...
Fun.
Facts. Let's begin, shall we? Shall we?
Oh, we'll begin all right. We're not here for fun. It's Tuesday. This day sucks. The runt of the week. We all know what Monday is. We all know what hump day is. Thursday's already kind of the weekend, and then the rest of the weekend speaks for itself. What the hell is Tuesday? It is unfun, by God. Let's get started. There is a syndrome people suffer from. It's called Cotard's syndrome. Cotard. Also known as walking corpse syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
This is
called having a 9-to-5 job, I think.
Pretty much. A condition wherein the patient believes they are dead, dying, or missing parts of their bodies, or they simply don't exist. Some people with Cotard syndrome stop speaking and stop eating because they believe they're already dead.
Oh, take them to a funeral. Say, see the person in the casket? Yeah. Because you can see the person in the casket, you're not dead. Yeah.
Good point.
Well, I wish some parts of my body were dead. The knees. They can go ahead and go now.
Sure.
I'd like to turn that off.
Yeah, guys, dead inside is not dead, okay?
Yeah, that's marriage.
There's a huge, or as my dad would say, huge difference. My dad turned 50 and dropped H's all of a sudden. I never understood that one.
Yeah.
Son, there's a huge discrepancy between, I'm like, huge?
Yeah.
How about ha? What is that, a sign of some sort of weird hubris? I don't know what it was.
You Gen Xers and your diction.
Golly. Here's something that's kind of unfun. Foreskin is used. Foreskin is used to grow skin for skin grafts.
No.
Check this out. There's a place called the Foot and Ankle Institute at the School of Podiatric Medicine at Temple University. The head of wound management said, in some cases, we can get 4 football fields of skin out of one baby's foreskin.
What?
You take the foreskin and you're able to grow more skin from one single foreskin. Oh. You grow more skin that then turns into skin grafts. 4 football fields out of one baby boy's foreskin.
All right. Well, if someone needs a skin graft, that's a pretty serious deal. They've been through quite some trauma.
That's very
What's
true.
the appropriate amount of time to wait before you can start teasing them about their new foreskin skin?
I think it's this simple. Do you feel okay? Yep. You feel no pain? No pain at all.
Yeah.
Looks pretty normal. Looks really good. Better than I would have imagined. Okay, cool. Well, you've got a child's foreskin on your body.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Penis skin.
Penis skin. God, boy, that'd be rough. Got to keep that one. At least let them get to high school. Don't ever tell a middle schooler that's what they're wearing around on their arms. In 1844, in a French convent, there was a recorded and documented case of hysteria broke out. One nun at a convent suddenly began to meow like a cat. And shortly thereafter, every other nun joined in, and they would all meow together for several hours at the time.
Well, this went from playful to really freaking weird.
Yeah, it sure did. Police were informed. They went to the convent. They brought along some soldiers because, they're like, wait, there's women meowing? We better get the army involved. The nuns were informed the soldiers will whip you until you stop meowing. So they stopped meowing pretty quick.
I mean, 100 years earlier, they would have just burned them, no questions asked. But, listen, probably still in the 19th century. This is, 1840 something?
Yeah.
Women were sent to convents like young men were sent off to the army. You can go to jail because, they might have kissed a boy before they got married. So off to the convent to you. I imagine you went in there as a bit of a trapped prisoner a lot of times. Not anymore, of course.
I'm going to spend my life in a candlelit room listening to Gregorian chants. Yeah, I think I'd meow like a cat, too.
Meow mix song?
The least of your concerns would be my meowing prowess. Trust me.
Weird.
Theoretically, if you wanted to have enough iron to forge a sword, and you wanted to draw that iron from human blood, it would take about 400 humans and all their blood to give you the iron necessary to forge a sword. That's not the unfun fact. The unfun fact is that someone took the time to figure that out. Whoever that person is, I apologize for something that must have happened to you in childhood.
Well, you'll need that sword forged from human blood to defeat Beelzebub at Dante Inferno's number 4, level 36, Steve.
I guess that's exactly what it is.
Dante's Inferno 4 is out. It's pretty wicked. Okay. Wish I had a blood sword.
Man.
Or maybe there's a joke in there about back to foreskin. Never mind.
The term, Neil Young in 1996 released one of my favorite albums, Broken Arrow. Not a huge hit, but boy, I love at least side 1 is as good as Neil ever got. Broken Arrow is used in a lot of different references. Culturally, there's a lot of literary things. Broken Arrow. In the military, Broken Arrow is the term that refers to a nuclear weapon accident where the weapon has been accidentally launched, fired, detonated, stolen, or lost.
But this never actually happened,
and
right?
Since 1950, 32 known broken arrows.
Yeah.
6 of those, the United States has lost and never recovered 6 nuclear bombs.
So if you find one, there's a small reward. The movie Broken Arrow with John Travolta and Jack Nicholson's spinoff, Christian Slater, Broken Arrow from the 90s.
Oh, that's right. There was
It was all about that. Yeah, it's kind of that thing. That's when the whole Broken Arrow thing came out. Well, gosh, I hope I find a nuclear warhead.
Man, I mean, the reward is you save humanity, I guess. You keep us all alive.
Or do I?
Christian Slater. What was the movie? Oh, Heathers. That's where he just did Jack, like a young Jack Nicholson for the whole movie.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, my God, this is the next great actor. And then everybody went, well, no, not really. 7.5% less blood reaches your brain when wearing a properly knotted necktie. That explains why people on Wall Street are inhumane.
Loosen up the ties.
Yeah, you wear a tie and you get 7.5% less blood to the brain. Oh my God, that's it. I said yesterday my son had 3 goals in life, and I forgot the third. He never wants to be in a car crash. He never wants to be stoned by a bee, and he never wants to learn how to tie a tie. And so far he's 3 for 3.
That boy.
I was like, how's that pie? He goes, well, I thought about it. I've worn it. He said something like, I've worn a tie 11 times in his whole life or some number. And he goes, and every time you just did it for me. And then I said, really? I never just made you learn? He goes, no. And I was like, well, that was cool of me.
Well,
sometimes I forget what a great dad I am.
If you see me in a tie, we're at a funeral.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Exactly right. Yeah, there's certain things I'm like, only for funerals and weddings, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's a devil's Bible that does exist. It's a contract between a monk and a Satan, and a monk and Satan. The Devil's Bible is, in fact, the largest Latin manuscript known to the world. It contains a full-page portrait of Satan. Apparently, this one monk knew what he looked like. And people do and have for centuries believed the manuscript contains this contract. A monk sold his soul to Satan in the 13th century in order to escape an execution. Okay. Again, the unfun fact is that people believe that's real.
Yeah. You'll thank me when I might need your body for the blood sword. Never mind. When I defeat him with my blood sword.
In nomine de nostris, Satanis, Luciferi excelsi, in the spirit of the unconquerable sun, the bringer of light and knowledge, we say, Shemham Farash, hail Satan.
Well.
Okay.
If there's one thing we've taken out of this segment, it's that my new band will be known as Bloodsword. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
Man,
Free tickets for life.
It's been killing me to find out that name. Finally, in 1859, there was a massive solar flare. It was called the Carrington event. Mm-hmm. The sky lit up in different colors. Electrical and telegraph services were affected. And that was pretty much it. I mean, it was a phenomenon noticed around the world, and it kind of got in the way for a minute. If something like that were to happen today, which of course is completely possible, electric grids all over the world would fail. GPS, ATMs, plane navigation, satellite, TV, and radio signals would be affected. It would cost trillions of dollars to repair and take years and years. And again, a massive solar flare can happen at any time. Yeah. So good luck thinking about that one tonight when you go to sleep.
We had a couple of forecasts just in the last year where they thought that this might be possible. And I like they talked to one of the scientists at one of these places. I don't know what, some university, Ivy League university. And they said, well, what's the plan here? And he goes, we really don't have one. And then there was and the reporter and the scientist sat there for about 6 seconds of dead air. And I went, well, this kid, does anybody want to, at the next meeting for sure, we're going to come up with, that would be mass hysteria, man. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Oh, it's all going to be fine. What could ever really go wrong? You know what I mean? Come on, man. We're having fun. There's your unfun facts for a Tuesday in early January. Hey, listen, if you find yourself sometimes struggling to identify, is that American whiskey or is that Scotch whiskey? We've got you covered. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Tuesday, January the 7th. We're rolling along on a nice Tuesday morning. Why not take a moment? Say what's up to West St. Paul, Brian Zapp. West St. Paul.
I had a very good friend. All right, it was a girlfriend. I don't see anymore. Haven't for years. But she lived on Ohio Street over there. I'm pretty sure that's in West St. Paul. There's a fantastic bar over there called Gallagher's. I hope it's still open. Mm-hmm. But what I loved about Gallagher's is they have a great menu over there.
Okay.
Just a good, great, solid bar food. Just one step up, Yeah. But they also have a vending machine right there in the bar. Chips, candy bars, all that good stuff.
Hey, man,
I just thought it was odd.
Sometimes you just want a bag of peanuts.
Yep, that's right. Gallagher's, West St. Paul. Opens at 8. I just Googled it.
I've noticed with really disappointed, it's getting harder and harder to find a good bag of salted peanuts. I mean, seriously, this peanut allergy thing, it's one thing to take them off airplanes, but more often than not, when I go into a gas station, I'm like, I don't want almonds or cashews. I want some God-fearing peanuts, and I can't find them. Sorry, you guys can't handle the peanut thing, but back in the old days, we used to do what we did. It was better. If you had a peanut allergy in the old days, we simply shunned you from society.
Yes. What they do to those nuns and unfun facts, we just sent the authorities over to threaten to whip you.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I get it. You won't be able to breathe. I guarantee you'll breathe if I put this bullwhip up against your ass. What are you going to do? I'm a big fan of a peanut. I'm sorry. Sue me. You know what I mean? I'm old school that way. Speaking of old school, I'm a fan of whiskey. I like whiskeys. I like bourbons. And I was never a guy. I never understood Scotch. As a young person, I thought Scotch. I didn't realize Scotch was whiskey, just Scottish version. I just thought it was a whole separate thing. And I was probably in my early 20s the first time someone gave me a Scotch where I just went, oh, that's different and it's amazing. And I can, it tastes like the inside of a tree, but I like it somehow. Like the really, really fantastic. And then when I was able to travel, and the first time, I've spent a little time in Scotland, enough to know that you just go into a place and look at the local guy and go, hey, man, I'm an American. Why don't you blow my mind? Show me some stuff I won't get. And they love that. They're like, and then I think they speak English. I can never understand it. And then they just give you a couple pours of stuff, and it's amazing. And then they'll put 1 drop of water in there, and they'll explain the whole thing. And you get excited, and then you think to yourself, I'm going to go home, and I'm going to collect a bunch of scotch. And then you don't, because who would do that? Not me.
Right.
But it sounds good at the time. Anyway, all this to say, a bunch of German scientists were sitting around recently. And here, it's another great reason. Don't piss off Germans. They, just don't annoy them.
Yeah.
Funny story. A place called the Fraunhofer Institute for Process Engineering and Packaging. A few German scientists were working with their American counterparts, all working together, I should say, their colleagues. And the Americans were saying U.S. whiskey's no different than Scotch whiskey. It's all the same. It's all the same ingredients, blah, blah, blah.
Fight more, yeah, no kidding.
And so what do a bunch of German scientists do to prove them wrong? They develop an AI system. It's called OWSUM, awesome. This is awesome. We're developing awesome technologies. And it's trained. It's an AI system trained to identify the flavors of American Scotch whiskeys. And then they brought in whiskey experts, human whiskey experts, to match their skills. They would give you the blind taste test. Is this an American whiskey or a Scotch whiskey? Long story short, AI knocked it out of the park. And the human whiskey experts, not as good as you might expect, knowing the difference. Which I
find that hilarious.
Funny, it wasn't that funny. Anyone
come up with an AI
us,
chuckle.
I wonder if you could you laugh again exactly like that?
All right.
Oh my God.
Weird.
That's just so awful. Of all the things you can do with AI, and you go right to the Zep laugh.
Well, it was simple. I know how to spell it.
Call me crazy. This is like, look, I'll admit, I'm the guy who still thinks I can always hit 7 out of 10 free throws. I won't touch a basketball for 3 years, and I'm like, I'm always good for 7 out of 10. I'm the guy who thinks I can walk out, and if it's a straight flat lie, I can hit a 20-foot putt for $1 million. I just always think that. I think if you put 2 whiskeys down in front of me and I knew one was American and one was Scotch, I think I would be able to tell you which was which.
All right.
And apparently that's not true. It's just my taste buds would betray me.
I mean, when it comes to whiskey, unless it's like Jack or, something like that where the flavor comes from the barrel, it all just tastes like petroleum to me. It reminds me of the time I was trying to siphon some gas out of my motorcycle gas tank, and I got some in my mouth. Yeah. That's what drink. And I like whiskey. I drink a lot of whiskey.
Yeah.
Listen, I was on a wine tasting recently. We were on a vacation. I'm out with some friends, and they're like, hey, some of them wanted to stop by this, winery, vineyards. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'll stop and drink some wine. And we're sitting there, and you take a little sip. I don't spit my wine out. I swallow my wine. Just take a little sip, and they go, did you get it? Tobacco and caramel, and it's a little oaky with hints of, I'm like, it tasted grapey to me. And then they drink the next one. They're like, but you can taste the difference in this one. I'm like, yeah, this one burns a little. No, it's not burning a little. That's vanilla with an almond note of, I'm like, you people are out of your minds. Whiskey, sure.
If I were going to be able to figure all that out and taste all that crap in wine, I think I would have to not ingest anything but water for like a year to just get the taste buds completely cleansed. I would have to go on some sort of juice diet or something. I came of age in the 80s, which means one thing. I put Tabasco on everything for like a decade.
Okay.
Because that's what we did in the 80s. Have you tried Tabasco on that hot dog? No. Oh, my God. Because we were idiots. I can't taste anything. I enjoy a lot of wines, and I'm like, do you taste all the things? Like, no, I just taste wine. To be honest with you, most of them tasted like Cool Ranch Doritos because that's what I was eating before I went in. I got chastised for that. Are you eating Cool Ranch Doritos? I'm like, well, I'm a little snacky. You said they didn't have food here, and I'm going to put some wine in my belly. I'm just trying to do the wise thing. But yeah, the whiskeys, they just all burn like hell. It sounds like a Jackass episode. They go to Napa Valley and they do some wine testing, but they're like eating burritos while tasting the wine or something. I could totally see that. That'd be fantastic. Speaking of AI, how about this one? Researchers are using AI. Cash prizes right now are being offered to scientists who can crack the code. Which code is that? Trying to figure out what are animals saying to each other. AI is translating animal sounds into human language, and they are anticipating very large breakthroughs in 2025. People have long wondered, like, what are they saying to each other? $500,000 is something called the Collier Doolittle Prize. $500,000 for scientists who come up with an indication of if you get an idea of what they're actually saying. If we can deliver with confidence what we think's happening, you can make some money here. I've seen people for years, they've been trying to figure out what, like, whales have a lot of noise. They make a lot of noise. There's clicks and the humpbacks, the sound of humpback whales singing. And researchers have often thought they kind of have a handle on it. But now, apparently, as weird as this sounds, AI is going to help us figure it out for real. I will just say this. I'll just cut to the chase. The last thing I want to know is what's going on in Chauncey Gorman's mind. I mean, I think I know. And it's like, it's not how much he loves me. It's not how cool he thinks it is to be in the studio with us on a daily basis. Yeah. He's thinking about these people. These people let me lick their face after I eat my own crap. That's what he's thinking.
I know. They're just dogs are a bunch of teenagers constantly punking us. Scuba can already talk. This would be a bad thing because why do we love dogs so much? Because they unconditionally love us, those little critters. Cats, I don't know, because they're fuzzy and soft, not because of their attitude. But love dogs. It's unconditional. I think, like you said, Steve, I think people are going to start interpreting what their dogs are saying, and it's not going to feel good all the time.
There's no way you can ever convince me that we actually know. You can say AI is determined. This is what they're saying. I know until a dog looks at me and in the King's English says, as a matter of fact, Steve, that's exactly what I was trying to get across. Thank you, AI. I would have talked about, it takes a paragraph and turns it into a complete and efficient sentence. Thank you. Yeah. Until I hear that out of a dog, I'm not buying anything they tell me.
Getting ready to legalize shrooms. That's just around the corner for you.
If you want to know what your dog is saying, just trip.
Yeah.
Just a belly full of stems is going to give you the answer you're looking for. Trust me. I've had fantastic conversations with animals while hallucinating. It does. It's all you need to do. And the best thing is the next day you don't really remember it and you don't want to. And then you're good. You move on with your life.
I think these people that are like, oh, you shouldn't hunt deer, you shouldn't kill animals or stuff like that. Yeah, I think we should go ahead and translate a deer's thoughts, and it would just be this. All right, go ahead and shoot it. Shoot that. You can shoot that animal. That tasty, delicious animal. Anyone that says, oh, they're so intelligent. I'm like, if you hunted them, they're not that bright, really. It's like a walking plant.
Just millions and millions of Homer Simpsons walking around.
Exactly.
There's a school in Arizona, a charter school in Arizona, that will be a little bit different. The Arizona State Board for Charter Schools approved an application. It's called Unbound Academy. It is a fully online school. It will serve grades 4 through 8.
All right.
Okay.
The students will study for 2 hours a day. That's it. A 2-hour learning model.
2 hours more than I did.
Personalized learning programs from companies like IXL and the Khan Academy. Students will work, this is a quote, as students work through lessons on subjects like math, reading, and science, the teacher will analyze their responses, time spent on tasks, and even emotional cues to optimize the difficulty and presentation of content. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say the teacher? No. The AI system will do all that. That's right. No teachers, an entire academy, all of academic instruction provided by an AI system.
Well, yeah. Who wants? Teachers, by the way, out there griping about pay. Watch it.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, it's why do we even need students? We can just have AI students. We can have AI teachers. Our tables will walk our salt spoons over to us that will cool our food for us. We were talking about tech earlier. It's really about, I got a buddy that's into tech invent. He reports for it. He goes out to these big Las Vegas shows, and he goes, it's really, when you sit around and try and develop something in one of these meetings, what we start asking each other is, what's an inconvenience? What's a small, little, first world, simple inconvenience? Yeah. And whatever that is, let's invent something to eliminate it. That's what we've been doing for the last 100 years so successfully here on planet Earth. And now we're down to blowing on our food and having our tables walk over to us.
That's it.
And we don't even want to teach the damn kids anymore. Just stick your face in the computer. The computer will teach you everything you need to know. I mean, it's been a nice run for humanity.
Oh, no, it really has. This school Unbound, it says in the application, it's bold. It claims very boldly how much its students will learn. They're basing this on an experiment that's being run on students in Texas, inspired by Elon Musk. Okay, listen, guys.
Our new president.
Guys. Yeah, our new president, whose children hate him. The founders of Unbound Academic, well, only the adult ones.
Right. Which one was that? X5403-8?
Yeah, the little ones are still like, oh, why am I wearing a tuxedo? I'm 4. Yeah, seriously, it's like there's such a like. Congratulations, you got all the money in the world, but what is it? Is it on the way up, or is it before you even start to accumulate billions of dollars that you don't know anything about just how people are? What is that? Next time I see a billionaire that I think I'd love to have a beer with that guy, I'll tell you when it happens. I'm waiting. Like, no, take all the money. Seriously, take all the money. Just stay away from me with it.
Yeah.
Get away from me. That's fine. Wow.
Well, they were doing something while the rest of us were drinking beer in college.
Yeah,
Maybe, I don't know, they were studying or something. I don't know.
But this is the ultimate test. If you were playing blackjack with your friends, if you got there's a 6-seat blackjack table and there's 5 of you, and Elon Musk sits down, you know that table's immediately cold.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, that guy is a walking cooler of for any fun, any vibe. It's like Bill Gates, the Amazon dude, Bezos. You look at those guys, you're like, oh my God, you would suck the fun out of anything.
What would be the conversation? So, hey. Yeah.
You want to have fun?
Cool, man.
You want to have fun? Watch me spend $1 billion of your dollars. That'll be fun. Other than that, keep on walking, dude. Head on out of here.
I'm rich. You're not.
Pretty much. Yeah. Sorry, man. I'm just going to sit right here with my Ham's beer.
I think I just asked. Yeah, could I have some money? I think that's all I would come up with. Was like, you got a lot. That's some money. I'll just take what you got on you. Give me one of your credit cards for the weekend.
You know who else has a lot of money? One of our neighbors. There's a new wealthy Minnesotan out there, and we're not going to make fun of you. We love you. We want you to come hang out with us. If you know who you are, anyway, I'll explain. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Good Tuesday morning. It's January the 7th. We were talking a moment ago. I went off on a tangent about there's not a billionaire on earth I think I'd want to have a beer with. Barry texted on the KQ Talk and Text line 651-989-ROCK. He goes, well, I'd have a beer with Mark Cuban. And you know what? So would I. That's one. Because Mark Cuban...
I'd dump a beer on him.
Mark Cuban became a billionaire. Here's the thing about him. He became a billionaire, and he did exactly what I would have done if I became a billionaire in my 30s. He bought an NBA team. He didn't say, let's go to Mars, or let me co-opt to NASA. Let's go to space. No, he's like, let's buy an NBA team. That's cool. I can get behind that.
That's not bad. I get bust his balls a little bit, though, for that whole Shark Tank thing. Like, he as a .com guy. In fact, his .com, I believe, folded after he sold it, but it had the .com name, and he got like $3 billion just dropped in his lap when that whole thing was happening. And now he's on Shark Tank going, that's not what I would do. Shut up, dude. You won the lottery. Shut up.
Hey, man, you know what? He got his start, though. He graduated from Indiana University, and he was living in Texas. And he wanted to listen to IU basketball games live. He was like, how do I listen to? I want to listen to my Hoosiers. Yeah. And I don't have all the details, but the idea of broadcasting over the internet, live streaming, we would call it now. That's where he got going. That was the idea. How do I listen to my local radio 500 miles away? So we owe him a little bit of high five for that one. You want to listen to your favorite team anywhere? He's one of the guys that got in there first. But again, I know this. I look back on what if you won all the money? What if you win the lottery? What if you get all this crazy money? And I think to myself, and I've had this for decades, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Buy an NBA team or whatever your sport is. Buy an NHL team. You can't buy an NFL team. Sorry, those doors are closed. But everything else, you can still find one probably.
The Twins are out for sale, right?
Sure. Yeah, they are. Go do that. Go be, someday someone's going to have enough money where they're going to have a team that wins, and then they're going to cut the ticket prices and they're going to give away free beer. That'd be me. That's why I'm not a billionaire now, because that's what I would have done with it.
God dang, I hope you win, man.
We have a local listener, hopefully. I don't know. Maybe a lot of our listeners go to the Cub Foods Blaine South Store on Northtown Drive. Somebody went in there on New Year's Eve and bought a Mega Millions ticket, and that bad boy, it looks like they matched 5 without the Mega Ball, and they won themselves $1 million.
Oh, that would do. That would do.
Yeah.
That would,
Nice.
Yeah, that would make me feel a lot better. That's healthy money. That gets you healthy.
The ticket has not been claimed yet, so check your purse, check your jacket pocket, check the console in your car.
Yeah.
Find that ticket. It's the third $1 million lottery ticket holder in Minnesota in the Mega Millions. There were two. There was a New Year's Day millionaire raffle thing, and then now this. So there were 3 $1 million winners over the holiday in Minnesota alone. This is the thing. You said this yesterday, Zepp. This got us thinking yesterday. You were out west and you saw somebody had bought the $1 billion winner was from a store in California, and you were close there. And then you found out, 250 miles away or something. But, hey, at least you were in the same state.
It was the $1.22 billion, and I was out by Yosemite. I was in Yosemite, stayed in a hotel nearby, and I went, oh, my God, I can get a lottery ticket that's at $1.22 billion. I run in an hour before the drawing, get a ticket. We go have a good time. The next morning I wake up, I open my phone. There was one winner chosen for that $1.2 billion jackpot in Central California. Yeah. That's the headline. I'm like, holy crap, I'm in freaking Central California. No. And then I just sat there for a moment, soaking it in, going, I know I didn't win. You know how many freaking lottery tickets they must have sold for that thing just in California alone? But what if? What if it happened? And so I sat there and just mulled over those things, that daydream that you bought yourself for whatever the $20 I laid down. I did not. However, when 268 miles away to be exact, Steve, it still haunts me. But I was so close, which means I wasn't very close at all.
Well, but you checked your ticket. You at some point, you still want to see if you matched 4 or 5 of the numbers or something like that. You still got to do it.
I won $2.
Okay, nice.
Great.
Hey, that's great. Yeah. The point I'm making is, when I buy a lottery ticket, if I do, I always hang on to it and I always check because someone's going to win that damn thing, and I would be. There you go. Look at that. I would be haunted. Zepp is holding. He's just
my $2 winner,
waving his Mega Millions ticket in my face. I would be. When I hear, if I saw a Minnesota guy won $1 billion, and I couldn't find the ticket, I would be convinced it was mine. I'd be like, oh my God, how do I know? Because I approach lottery as it's not 302 million to 1, it's 50-50. Yes or no? Did I win? Yes or no? It's a coin toss. I either won that thing or I didn't. Yeah. And if somebody won it and the ticket's never claimed, I think to myself, oh my God, I guarantee you that must have been mine. I must have bought a ticket and forgotten. I don't know what I did with it. And this is true. I have pulled a pair of jeans out of the washing machine, and there's like a balled up clump of paper in the pocket. I'm like, was that a lottery ticket? Oh my God. It's insane that I even think about this crap. Yeah. But I do. But for the person who bought that one at the Cub Foods, it's $1 million winner. You're going to pay taxes. You're still walking away with over $600 large in your pocket afterwards. Yeah. And if you're smart, you will not tell a single person that happened.
Yeah, no, not with that guy. Yeah,
rule number 1, keep it to yourself.
Something I've never done is ask a lottery winner for money. Who does that? But people do it. Yeah.
Oh, they absolutely do it. And with the holidays behind us, there was check this out. Somebody, I'm reading an article, and they're like, talking about etiquette, because a lot of people hand away lottery tickets, scratch-offs for gifts, birthdays, but especially Christmas. And it's like, well, what if someone hands you a Christmas present and it's a lottery ticket and you win $5 or $10 grand? What's the protocol? What's the etiquette for that? And the etiquette is just put the money in the bank. But people are like, well, the person who gave me the ticket, should I give them something? To which I respond, well, then that means it's not a gift. It's a contract, right? Yeah. A present, if they gave you a sweater, would you let them wear it every Thursday? What are you talking about? It's a Christmas gift, which until you scratch it off is meaningless and worthless. The fact that it later becomes worth some money, like when that ticket was bought, if someone hands you a Mega Millions ticket, hey, man, hey, happy birthday, Zepp. Here's a $2 Mega Millions ticket. At that particular moment, that ticket is worth $2.
That's right.
Only once the balls have been drawn, I almost said scratched. once I was thinking scratch off, and then I was thinking about scratching my balls.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Once the Mega Million guy scratches his balls, then that ticket might be worth more. But when it was a gift, it was only worth the $2. I think if you win money from a ticket someone gave you, you have no obligation to share the winnings with them. You're welcome to. Go for it. But it's not like you should.
No, it's a courtesy,
Yeah. That means it's not a gift. It's just more, it's like, hey, man, if you win, don't forget me. It's like, well, then it's not a Christmas present. It's an investment, maybe.
That means I'm not buying you a lottery ticket as a gift. What I am going to do is I'll keep it for myself, and if I win on your next birthday, I'll give you $2.
That's exactly that right there. I can get behind. I appreciate that kind of thinking. That reminds me, when my band made our first record in 1989, we worked briefly with a guy who then claimed that he was a partner in the band. It was completely ludicrous and just total con guy. But he sued the band, and what he said was, well, and by the way, we met this guy after the album had already been recorded, and this was an album that was financed by a record label. He never gave us a penny. He wasn't even there when we made it, but then he said that he was a partner because he'd given us a lot of inspiration. He was a crazy person. But the point we were making to him was like, hey, he said, so anyway, he sued the band and said, I'm worth 1/6. I'm the sixth partner, and all the money the record made, I'm entitled to 1/6 of it. and of course, we were like, well, what in the 3 months that we knew you, what was that album worth? Because to us, it was $60,000 worth of debt. So if you want to pay us $10,000, if you want to pay your 6 back, feel free, dude. The record could have gone nowhere, and then I don't think you'd be here. It's like, you can't come up after the fact and say, hey, man, I did that. Gina just texted in on the KQ Talk and text line. We won $100,000 back in 1999. My husband owned a roofing company, and the roofers thought they should all get a raise.
Yeah, no.
A little bonus would be nice.
That's $100,000.
But did you pull the lottery ticket out of a roof? No, he went and bought it himself. What the hell are you talking about?
A bonus would be nice whether the boss won the lottery or not, but guess what? You can wish in one hand and crap in the other and see which gets filled first. To quote Grumpy Old Man. I think that's what that was from. But
what
anyway.
Are you going to do? Hit it. Text line is 651-989-ROCK, or the call. You can talk or text if you prefer. What do you do? What's the protocol here? If you win the thing, because, nothing will lock me in quicker when I'm surfing channels when I see every now and again, it's like they just repurpose the same stories, but every couple of years there's a lottery losers, and it's people who won but then blew it all.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is so fascinating to me, but it never fails to hook me in. My favorite is the guy it was Virginia, or maybe it was West Virginia. And in the late 90s, this dude who was, he was in his 50s. He was not a kid. He was a contractor. He had his own construction company. By the average, Andrew Jackson Whitaker Jr., that was his name. By any measure, he was already having a decent life. He owned a home. His bills were paid. He had a successful company. He made, after taxes, about $115 million. Wow. And within 4 years was in debt. Lost everything.
All I can think is you're going out and buying things like houses that cost $200 million. Well, not 200 in this case, but, a $50 million house or something like that. Because I think to myself, if I won like $5 million, I don't think I could spend that, based on my spending habits. I'd get a nice little place or whatever, but I guess if you just go hog wild, what did he spend it on? Did he say?
A lot of things. My favorite thing was he said thieves broke into his car and took a bag of cash out of his car one day. It was $550,000.
Okay, if you're traveling around with $500,000 in cash.
Yeah, a year later, lost $200,000, also having it stolen from his car.
What?
Okay, that's his buddies, and that's what I would be doing.
Exactly.
I'd be like, hey, the jackass that won't give us anything, that won $100 million, walks around with $500,000 cash in his car, so let's just go rob him. Oh, he's doing it again. You want to rob him this time? Okay, I'll keep him busy.
Caesars Atlantic City sued him. He had bounced over $1 million in checks.
Wow.
The guy was He did. He bought like his kids. He bought houses for everyone in his family. I mean, he came right out of the gate. $114 million. It's like, dude, okay, just for anybody listening, if you win $114 million, do this. Do this. Tell yourself, I'm going to have fun with $14 million.
Yep.
And then the 100, putting it over here and just going to pretend it's not there, and then I'll live on the interest, and everyone's going to be fine. I mean, go wild. Take $14 million and blow it, but give most of that to a guy in an old tie who knows what to do with it.
That will say no when you call him up drunk and high as hell at 6 o'clock in the morning on an 8-day bender and go, I need $1 million right now. My dad's big on CDs, so take a bunch of it, put it in a 10-year CD. You can't touch it if you want it, and it's drawing interest and all that stuff. I like what if you're 19 years old, Steve? You're 19 years old and you win $15 million like Mike Carroll did back in 2002. $15 million, you're 19. Oh. This I almost understand. Allegedly, he had a penchant for crack parties, prostitutes, and cars. 5 years later, he was hoping to get his former garbage man job back.
You know what? I'll give him credit for hanging on for 5 years.
Yeah.
A 19-year-old who likes crack and whores made it 5 years. Oh, my God, dude, you should win a blue ribbon for that.
How to make $15 million last with crack parties and prostitutes.
I thought it was going to be 5 months.
Yeah,
my
right?
God, that's fantastic. Hey, we're happy to have everybody listening to us every day, but right now, specifically and especially, North Minneapolis. We love the Northerners. We love you up in North Minneapolis. Thanks for being with us.
We were just talking about Prince's home. I was forgetting. I drive past that on my way back to the pad, but it's just off of 55. Prince's childhood home. Mm-hmm. They're on Newton Avenue, North Minneapolis. Good morning.
651-989-ROCK, the KQ Talk and Text line. What are you going to do when you hit the big time? Lottery protocols. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, January 7th. I tell you what, man, every time we hear CCR, I think, they're just in the studio and they're listening back, and every time a song hits like 2 minutes and 9 seconds, it'd be like, go ahead and fade it. That's good. Get me out of here. That's enough. No one needs to hear it. We don't need a fourth verse. Get it out of here.
Beer 30.
I mean, talk about knowing you had done your job. Hit it and quit it, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fogarty was not here to, jamming. What are you talking about? I said all I wanted to say. I established the hook. I got to the chorus 3 times. Fade the damn song. Dude, had no time for extended play, man.
Except that I heard it through the grapevine cover. That one, he didn't know when to stop.
It was a cover. He was like, this is great. My stuff? Nah, 210, 215 tops. We'll get out of there. We're talking about lottery protocol and weird moments and the fact that sometimes, you get what you want and it turns out to be the last thing you need. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and Text line. I believe Gail from Hudson has a story for us. Good morning, Gail.
Good morning, Steve.
Gail, give me your favorite band.
AC/DC.
Nice. Favorite team, any sport?
It'd be Green Bay Packers.
Well,
that's
that changes.
All right.
That changes everything. No, it doesn't change a damn thing. Gail, give us your story. What do you got for us, brother?
Yeah, Wisconsin, when they first came out, the lottery scratch-off tickets only, they were $1 a piece. Back in 1989, celebrating a quick 23rd birthday party, a friend of mine stopped at a grocery store, bought me 3 $1 tickets, put them in a birthday card. 5 minutes later, I opened up the first one, read it, and go, I got to have 3 aces to get the top prize, but jokers were wild. I had 2 aces, looked at the back of the card, had a joker, and I go, I just won $5,000. I handed him the card, read it, dropped to his knees and said, "Are you kidding me? I just bought these 5 minutes ago."
Happy birthday.
It was uncomfortable.
Wow, man. Hey, that's all right. So, how did it resolve? What'd you do?
Well, it was uncomfortable for a little while because it's, like you mentioned, you don't know what to do when it does happen. But that was the top prize you could get. When the Daily News found out about it, and they thought it was interesting, what do you do? And he felt maybe I should split it with him.
50-50, that's too much. Nice dinner, maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. maybe couple of $100 or something like that. But you don't split it, for crying out loud. It's a gift he gave to you, man.
Yep. So we worked it out, but it was uncomfortable for a couple of months until we finally figured out it was a gift.
Jeez, yeah, Gail, we're on Team Gail on this one.
Yeah, the problem with that is I'm thinking of a couple of my buddies, especially when we were all flat broke up until, we still are, a lot of us. But it's when you go out, it's that dinner bill. When they sit there and look at you, aren't you the one that won the $5,000? You honestly want me to get this tab tonight?
Yeah.
I could see it being an ongoing thing for a while, yeah.
Yep, it was uncomfortable, but it can happen, so think twice before you hand out lottery tickets.
Right on. Gail, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate it. On the KQ Talking text line, 651-989-ROCK. This is a pretty nice report. Someone just wrote, New Year's Eve, 24, at my local fun bar playing pull tabs. I put $100 in and pulled $2,776 in all, played a few different games, walked away with $2,400.
Yeah.
Went across the street to buy a Lotto America ticket. While waiting, I asked for a scratch-off. Scratched it the next morning, $10K. Happy New Year to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they were going to say, and then they won millions on that Lotto ticket they bought. I mean, that's walking around lucky right there. That's how you get it done.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
There was that rom-com with Nicolas Cage and Bridget Fonda. Was that it? It could happen to you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's the cop, and instead of his usual tip, he offers her, if he wins the lottery, I forget, I saw it a billion years ago. And I remember talking about that one day, and I'm like, man, that's quite a thing because they end up falling in love, which never happened in real life at all.
No, not a chance.
No, they said based on a real story, except for that whole romantic part. Yeah, that didn't happen. But he ended up giving her, though, half the money. That would be tough. He'd be like, well, I mean, I said it at the time. Obviously, I think it was like $5 million. I said it because I didn't think I was going to win. Because that's that borderline money. $5 million after taxes, split in half, might not quite get you to the finish line. That, I'm not going to work for the rest of my life, and I'm going to have a good time. So I know I said I'd give you a half, but it turns out I'm a douchebag liar. But hey, here's $100,000. I think that's how I would have handled it.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, the waitress in real life, she didn't look like a young Bridget Fonda. Let's start right there.
No,
she was as much Bridget Fonda as Tanya Harding was Margot Robbie, as we've already established on the show today. It's just not. That's just not part of the thing. Someone just texted in, what about lottery winning at a bar, pull tabs? Should the winner buy a round? Tip the bartender. I'm all for. I will say, 2 years in, I still haven't figured out the pull tab thing. I mean, I get it. I haven't I've yet to go to, I've been to a lot of bars. I haven't sat there and just gone pull tab crazy yet. I don't know why. I guess I'm just not with people that do it. I'm willing to go. Yeah. I'm willing to just enjoy it for a while, but it just, for whatever reason, that has so far eluded me. What am I missing from the pull tab experience?
Just being probably raised by parents that sat there and played pull tabs and went, all right. Okay. And then they would win. So that meant you got to go play pinball because they won. And then they were in a good mood for like 24 hours, maybe.
I did miss out. Holy crap, that sounds amazing.
The protocol is, if it's the bartender that pulls the tabs, like they do at some places, the boxes are right there on the bar, where Taylor works, for example. But some places, they have their own little stand, their own little counter over there. But yeah, if you win, I was with someone, Sid the Kid, at Maslax, and I won $4. Two $2 winners. And I said, you know what, kiddo? And I was sitting there talking to someone. I said, why don't you just take these up and get a couple more cards or whatever you want to get. Yeah. So she walks up and gets one $4 card out of the $4 box, which is completely full. I went, well, you don't get it out of the,
that was wrong.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. She won the max, $888, right there in front of me. And she said, what does two lines mean? And I said, shut up. It doesn't have two lines on it. And she handed it to me, one across, one up and down. And I went, son of a... And she's like, oh, it's yours, Dad. And I went, no. Yeah. No. I wasn't drunk enough yet. I was sober enough to say, no. I gave it to you. I told you to get it and pull it. And so she ended up giving the gal $88, and kept the $800. I thought that was a fine. I don't know what the protocol is, but she said, is that okay? Mm-hmm. And I went, yeah, it sounds good to me. So, yeah, you would typically tip them. I don't know about buying around and all that. It depends how much you win, I guess.
Yeah.
So did she pick up the check for the night, though? Because that's protocol, too.
I don't believe she... Big. Probably did. Yeah, it's protocol unless your dad is sitting at the booth and he's had about 6 beers. And then the card automatically comes out. I think probably the next morning I went, wait a minute, why did I pay that frickin' tab?
Oh, man.
What are you going to do? But, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Here's a text. Bob just texted in. What about winning big at the horse races with friends? I've got a story. Bob, call in. Let us know what the story is.
Yeah.
651-989-ROCK. No, I've been to the Kentucky Derby a few times. I've been to some horse tracks. If you're with friends and you're all betting, I mean, you got your own tickets. You're not.
Yeah.
You're going to the betting window. You're not. You may all collect. Hey, everybody put in 10 on a winner. Well,
yes.
Sure. Then it's an even.
I've
That's
done
an
that.
easy math. But generally speaking, yeah, everyone's just making their own bets. And if by the way, if someone gives you a hot tip, now if you go to your expert buddy and they say play this trifecta and it hits, yeah, you want to throw them a mint julep or two for sure.
Right. Keep the tips coming.
Here's a kind of a crazy story. I went to the Kentucky Derby in 2009 as a member of the media, which is hilarious. I'd been doing sports radio for like 4 minutes, and a guy at Churchill Downs got in touch and invited me up. So I went up, and I was in the media room with all of like the horse racing, from literally all around the world. It's the Kentucky Derby, for crying out loud. And I look across the room, and there's all these sports journalists, horse betting journalists. The media center that overlooks the finish line at Churchill Downs. They've got their own bar and their own betting window in the media. It's a media center. It's amazing. And I look across the room and I'm like, is that Liam Durbin? A guy I went to high school with. I haven't seen him in 30 years. Last I heard, he was an officer in the U.S. Navy. And I go over, Liam. He goes, hey, we all, oh my God, what are you doing? He's like the top handicapper for the USA Today for horse racing. And I'm like, this is your job? He goes, no, I'm the chief technical officer for Heinz Ketchup. I do this for fun. I'm like, what? It like blew me away, right? I'm freaking out. And then, but it turned out this is what he does. And a bunch of papers printed his stuff. And I said, well, man, I'm flying blind. And he gave me like 6 different ways to bet things. I bet a total of $30 and won like $900. And I was like, Lim, I got to split this with. He was like, get out of here. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, just
I'll tell you about
that's great. And then I went a year later and he wasn't there and I lost my ass.
There is a whole thing, especially at the horse racing. Mike Gelfand stretch on this show for decades. And that's, I think, almost what he did for a living. I mean, he was also a sports writer and, of course, a broadcaster. But I went out to Canterbury with him one time where he worked. Giving handicaps and doing shows and all that stuff. And he takes you out and he's like, oh, this one had this kind of hay this morning and I got a good night's rest. There's a whole thing. Yeah. You think fantasy football people are geeks. But there's a whole thing.
No.
And so he gave me a couple of tips and I ended up winning a few $100. Same thing. I'm like, here, stretch, take some. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And then the next time I went back, I lost a few $100. So
that's exactly how that works.
A little skill to that horse racing, as it turns out. That's not just blind luck gambling. I mean, for some people. For me, it is.
That same year, however, remember Mine That Bird won the Kentucky Derby 50-1. And I said, I'm just going to put $100 on that 50-1 horse. He goes, don't waste your money. Stop it. And, of course, it won. I was like, I probably should have done that. That was a problem. KQ talking text line 651-989-ROCK. Bob Ham Lake is calling in. Bob, good morning, brother.
Hey, what's happening?
Bob, give me your favorite band.
My favorite band? I would have to say the Rolling Stones.
Give me your favorite team, any sport.
Minnesota Wild.
Nice.
There you go.
All right, give me your story, brother.
Okay, well, this is back in about 2011. It's not a major money maker, but it was for me. A bunch of us guys, we used to go to the horse track since 1988. Well, in 2011 Breeders' Cup, in 2011, I always, early in the year, was betting on a horse called Court Vision. And every time I was at the track and I bet on this horse, $50, he wouldn't win. But during the year, when I couldn't make it to the track, the little fart would come all the way back and win all the time. So in 2011 Breeders' Cup come around, that's where all the best horses are on the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He went off at odds were 50-1, but by the time the race went off, he was 65-1. Well, we got to the track early, 6 hours before the race started, I said, I'm not going to let this, going to happen here. So I went and put $20 to win on it. Well, I was with a bunch of guys, and the race went off. He was 65-1.
Oh.
And I had 20 to win on him.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a heavy favorite, Golden Cova, everybody was betting on. So I boxed this horse with another horse that always came from behind. Well, the pace was hot, and the horses went out fast, and my horse was way in the back as normal. But anyway, long story short, he came back and won by a hair.
Yeah, he did.
I had to sit through a 20-minute photo finish, and there was a objection too. So I had to wait for it, and eventually my horse won at 65-1. So I got 10 times 133, and I hit the exacta for $2 short of $2,000.
Wow! All right.
Nice.
So now I'm sitting there with my buddies. There's about 8 of us, and I walk up and cash in. The gal's counting my hundreds, and she says, "Are you alone?" I said, "Why?" She says, "There's a lot of eyes on you right now." So I turned and looked at Canterbury. All these dudes are looking at me. I said to the gal, "I'll be fine. I got these guys over here." So.
Oh boy.
But anyway, I went back to the table, and everybody's looking at me like they want a piece of the action. I wasn't drinking at the time. I gave up drinking. So I bought them all beer. And then I bought them a couple more, of course. But I didn't give them any money. And they all kind of getting a little pissy with me. So on the way home in Mankato, I stopped at Happy Chef. And, of course, everybody, Happy Chef ain't nothing really big there to buy. But they all buy things. But,
everybody gets their own pie.
It was a good deal. Eventually, I gave a few bucks to my uncle. He was with us,
Now, Bob,
yo.
what? Don't make me do math. I can't do math. How much did you win, man?
$3,300.
$3,300. All right.
Solid.
Well,
That'll work.
I got a little over $1,300 for the $20 win bet.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know what an exacta box is, right?
$3,300 and a story for the ages. Bob, we got to hop. Thank you, brother. We appreciate the call. Top 5 at 9. Coming up next. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock. 92 KQRS.
It is 2025, and that means it is, 36 years since Emperor Hirohito of Japan died. Did you know that? The guy died in 1989. I had no idea he was around that long.
I wonder what he did in those 40-some years. Just kind of kicked around, toes in the sand, that kind of thing.
I think he stayed in hiding, really, a long time.
Got a job at the Japanese McDonald's?
Jeez,
I don't know.
Go figure. Yeah, you just look at January 7th in history. First thing that popped up, I was like, okay then, fair enough. Emperor kicking it for, like you said, 45 years later, still going. Who knew? Good Lord. These things happen. It's a Tuesday morning, and right now it's time to get to the top 5 at 9. If you're just getting started, these are the things we kind of feel like you need to know. Number 5 on your top 5 at 9, let's discuss. Our favorite rock stars, they all grew up somewhere. And a lot of times, the childhood homes or the homes they started their careers living in, flea-ridden bungalows in the Hollywood Hills, the occasional Tudor falling apart in Macon, Georgia. These are things that you can go visit, like the big house in Macon, where the Allman Brothers all started living. They crashed in a place. You go to Woodstock, New York. Outside of Woodstock, the band had their house, which they called Big Pink.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's still pink. You can go take a photo standing in front of it. I mean, it's like, music from Big Pink. Bob Dylan's childhood home up in Hibbing.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I was thinking of, remember the story we did last year, John Lennon's home, I believe you told us. Bob Dylan just showed up one day, and someone took a photograph and went, is that Bob Dylan in the background of my tourist photo at John Lennon's house? I love that.
Yeah, the house in Liverpool, and they offer tours, and it's a protected place. You can buy the ticket downtown Liverpool, get on a little bus, it takes you out there. And there was 13 or 14 Beatles fans, and they go on the tour. tour, and a guide is walking him through. Now, this is the bathroom where John used to learn. This is where he learned how to wipe his bum, isn't it? And then here's the kitchen where Aunt Mimi used to make biscuits. Now, what we call biscuits aren't what you call biscuits. It's a whole tour, right?
Yeah.
And they go through it. And someone develops their film. They took pictures in the house, and they're showing them to a friend when they get back to the States, and their friend goes, "Why was Bob Dylan on your tour?" The guy goes, "What are you talking about?" And it was Bob Dylan got on a bus with 13 strangers and did the tour. It's fantastic. And if you find yourself in the suburbs of Sydney, Australia, we are getting to the point, you can go see the childhood home for the Young brothers, Malcolm and Angus of AC/DC, the home they were living with their parents when they put AC/DC together in 1973.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It'd be very cool. And fans show up. Now, you can't go for a tour. It's still privately owned, but it's obvious, but it's well known where it is. And fans show up. They take photos outside. They leave, bottles of whiskey or flowers, whatever they want. I mean, it's a known place. A year ago, that property was sold to developers. They bought a whole bunch of homes in this one area. And now, despite that home being listed on the National Trust of Historic Homes since 2013, over the weekend, somebody slipped up and, brought a bulldozer and destroyed the house.
No.
They
Dirty
demolished
deeds.
the childhood home of Malcolm and Angus Young. Later. Goodness
Whoops.
gracious. Hey,
that's my bad, guys. Totally. Well, I mean, when you look at it, there's a similarity there. They should have, roped it off or something.
You would think they would do something. They are discussing now. The developers who did this have publicly apologized, and they said their team is working on a way to salvage materials from the site to create a, quote, special place. We're thinking a cafe or a bar where AC/DC fans could gather to celebrate the band's enduring legacy.
Oh, all right. While you're at it, why don't you knock down Nye's, build a big, huge, tall apartment complex on it, and still call it Nye's Bar? Come on.
There you go.
We know better. We know better. What about Malcolm? Tragically, is gone.
Yeah.
Far too young. What about his last house? Can you just use that one? The last place he was in is probably a big, nice castle.
I was going to say, it's probably got more bathrooms than this family home did from the 60s, something tells me.
Oh, well.
Speaking of family homes from the 60s or 70s, number 4 on your top 5 at 9, a contractor in Illinois runs a construction service. He does fairly well for himself. He was performing a small remodel on the bathroom of his parents' home. His folks still live in the house he grew up in. Their master bath needed a makeover. He goes in there with his crew, and they film projects, so they can post on Instagram before and after, et cetera, et cetera. They're in the bathroom. They take down a section of drywall, and there had been an addition added, so there was like a little space in between the walls bigger than you would expect. It was somebody just did something 50, 60 years ago to change the way the walls were aligned. He pulls the drywall out, and he realizes there's like a space, and he goes, I should look in there and make sure there's, that nobody left anything behind. He sees a box wrapped in Disney-themed Christmas paper, and he's like, that's weird. Pulls it out. It's a Christmas present that was in the wall. It had been stowed away there. Research shows in 1978. It had this contractor's name on it, to Tim from Santa. It was a Christmas present that was supposed to have been put under the tree that somebody stuck into a little hole in the wall to hide and then forgot it was there. Since 1978.
And all this time, he just thought his parents didn't love him.
That's exactly right. Well, so then he's like, well, hang on. This was for me. I was 6 years old. Holy crap. What did I not get? He opened the box. He tore off the wrapping paper. You can see it on Instagram. And it's a set of Matchbox Thunder Jets in the box. It's like Matchbox cars, like Hot Wheels. Well, they had planes as well, and these are little, small enough to put in your hand. Thunder Jets, a little selection, which for a 6-year-old in 1978, I'm sure would have been really, really cool. Yeah. For a collector in 2025 who's thinking he's going to retire, sorry, bud, those aren't really a hot item on the secondhand market.
I did a little Googling here. Had it been in 1978, a Luke Skywalker or Obi-Wan Kenobi action figure still in that package, somewhere between $25,000 and $76,000.
Oh, yeah. Your parents didn't love you, Tim. Sorry. Man. But you know what? I almost would be I would just opening it would be even if it's a great find, just the idea of what could this be would be kind of almost more fun, especially when you find out it's Thunderjets.
Christmas all over again, man.
78. Were we ever really that young? Were we ever really that innocent? Number 3 on your top 5 at 9, according to a recent survey, almost half of Americans have a real problem. And I got to tell you, man, I did not see this one coming. Nearly half of Americans say when they leave home, they carry backup underwear with them. What is happening?
Paranoid?
What are we doing? Why do we need backup underwear? Really? Now, some people say, well,
chili cook-off, maybe.
I'm going to go to the gym. Oh, no, if you're going to go to the gym and work out, that's different. If that part of it is that, but other people say, no, I spill things on myself. Every now and again, I do have an accident. I just need to make sure that I have fresh underwear just in case. I'm like, just in case what? I'll take my chances that 364 days a year, I'm not going to say, I wish I had backup underwear with me right now.
Never once. Not one time. A couple of times in my life, I wish I had some backup pants, but backup underwear just wouldn't have done me any good. I did read a story recently. There was a guy in one of those Waymo driverless taxis out in California.
Yeah.
He got stuck in there. It locked him in and wouldn't let him out. And just kept driving around the block for hours. So maybe that would have come in handy if you had to, I don't know, crap in the car.
Man.
Still, get it
together. Get it together,
half.
everybody.
That's a lot of people. That means
diet.
one of us, Ryder, one of us. I mean, if you're going with half, odds are one of us is carrying backup underwear. I only have one pair. So it's got to be you, Ryder.
I have been wearing long underwear and just regular underwear for about a week now because it's so freaking cold. So if that is factoring into the criteria, then I'm the guilty one right now.
All right, fair enough.
That's a wonderful way to take the hit for the team, Ryder.
Yeah,
very well
played.
Number 2 on your top 5 at 9, you know the old saying, go west, young man. And if you're a football player in Minnesota, a lot of times that means go west, well, just to North Dakota State. North Dakota State is national champion on Division I football championship subdivision level for the, 10th time since 2011.
Yeah.
North Dakota State beat Montana State to win the whole shebang. 39 Minnesotans on the team's roster this year. I guess it's just a staple. They grab all of the best players out of Minnesota and then they just run roughshod over everybody else in that division.
I grew up in East River, South Dakota, pretty close to, about an hour from the border or whatever with Minnesota. And that was it. So, in fact, I played college football in Aberdeen at Northern State, and all of our teams in the NIC conference at that time, all of them were in Minnesota. Winona, Bemidji, Moorhead, Morris, Duluth, all these teams were in our conference. And yeah, it just turns out that the Minnesota kids whoop our ass. And the Dakota coaches over there figured that out and went, yeah, you guys are all right. You can be the kickers. You can give Gatorade to the Minnesota kids. But that was about half of our team in Northern, when I was there in the 1980s, was Minnesota kids.
Yeah.
In fact, we had a couple of Gopher dropouts. They came, we were like, and they had a Gopher T-shirt on. I was like,
oh, my God.
You were in the Gopher. You played for the...
Yeah.
Well, I didn't start. It was my freshman year. But I'm like, but you were on the frickin' Gophers? Yeah, they were like gods walking around. And thanks for going over there and winning some championships for those North Dakota suckers.
Here you are, a Woolsey Gatorader from way back. You're like, I'm ready to go.
Uh-huh, yeah.
North Dakota State is making a habit of beating Montana State. 4 times since 2018, they've eliminated Montana State from the playoffs. And including just last year, they beat them in a 35-34 overtime classic. In this game, the Bison of Montana State were up 21-3 at halftime.
Right.
And then North Dakota State was like, oh, wait, we can't. No, come on. We're North Dakota State. Let's roar back and rip their guts out.
Yeah, and they did.
That's fantastic.
It's Bison of North Dakota State. Bobcats of Montana.
What? Oh, did I get that backwards?
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, man, whatever. All I know is,
exactly.
All I know is when you're winning that much, it's like step up to the next level, guys. Come on.
Yeah, maybe.
Throw your hat in with the big boys. I guarantee you can beat half the Big Ten.
They probably beat Minnesota. I don't know. Just saying.
Good morning, Savage. What's happening out in Savage? Glad to have you with us this morning. Savage. Number one on your top 5 at 9, the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, gets going today. All the gadgets that nobody ever wanted or needed on display. My personal favorite is a tiny robot that now blows on your drink to cool it down. They're going to go on sale in Japan later this year. They're going to cost you $25. It looks like a cat, a tiny cat.
Yeah.
You hang it on the side of your coffee mug or even on your soup bowl.
Dear God.
And it just blows on it. It's called the Fufu.
Maybe I could multi-purpose it for some sort of, foreplay instrument. I don't know.
If somebody offered me a fufu, I'd say that's spelled F-U, right? Yeah, just making sure. My God, where are we in the world?
Boy.
This is bad.
I'm exhausted and this coffee's so hot. Does anybody have a mechanical device that can cool this down for me?
Oh, wow.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, there's the table with working legs. The Mimo walks around. Looks like a little small side table. But yeah, don't walk to the table. The table walks to you, and it can also talk to you as well. All right, I guess maybe instead of a dog. I don't. Okay. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Good Lord. How about this? The electric salt spoon went on sale in Japan last year. It's a spoon that you hold in your hand and you put it into some food. And as you take a bite, it sends a tiny little current of electricity that hits your tongue. And that, in turn, makes the food taste saltier than it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Right, I want to put an electrified metal object in my mouth. I'm sure it'll be fine. If the thing malfunctions, you're going to freaking electrocute your tongue.
You know what?
How about salt? How about just add a little salt?
Battery.
Add salt to your diet and just run a few extra miles. Just do something.
Drink
to
more water.
It.
Yeah.
It's a lot of energy, a lot of thought, a lot of brain power going into the thing of like, well, how do we avoid? What do you do when you like salty food but don't want to eat salt? You know what? I think if we electrocute tongues, we'll be on our way. That's the key. That's going to set us free. Anyway, if you want to go to Vegas over the next few days and check out a whole bunch of crap you'll never need, then by God, I got some good news for you. This is the time to go. Yeah. Hey, always remember, tell your smart speaker to play 92 KQRS. Why don't you?
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.